What's up, everybody? Ethan Quant here, and welcome back to another dynamic episode of the Real EQ Podcast, the show where we have real conversations about life, business, and becoming the best versions of ourselves. I sit down with people that I actually genuinely admire and want to learn from, unpacking their journeys, lessons, and perspectives. So, no matter where you are in life, who you are, if you're looking to grow, you're definitely in the right place. Today's guest is a powerhouse in the creative and branding space, a bohemian creative director, brand strategist, and content creator who's redefining how brands show up and scale. Darea Danielle Rolle is the founder of House of Content, where she blends sharp business strategy with intentional storytelling to help brands build strong, cohesive digital ecosystems. From beauty and travel to tech and hospitality, her work is all about positioning brands to compete on a global level while staying rooted in purpose and clarity. Let's dive in. Daria, how you doing?
I am good. How are you?
I am great. I am great. First of all, thank you so much for joining me on today's episode.
You're welcome.
Now, I like to get started by asking my guests one question, and then that literally kicks it off. How do you define success?
Whoa. How do I define success? For me, I think success is measured by the amount of or the proximity to the purpose I was placed there to do. I don't measure success just to money. I don't measure success to just metrics as far as engagement or even people, but the thing that I was actually placed here to do, fulfilling that to the best of my abilities, that's success for me. I like money too, but success is that.
Yeah, money is good.
It's awesome.
And so, based on that definition, would you consider yourself successful?
I would consider myself on the road, on the journey to success. I wouldn't say I'm there. I'm at my pinnacle, but I'm definitely making some serious strides towards it because we're always evolving, always improving. So, yeah, I think I'm on the journey. We're not quite there yet, but we're on the way.
Interesting. So, talking about the journey, where did yours start? I know your intro gave some insight as to what you do, but at your core, who are you and where are you going?
Okay, so I'll start with where did the journey start? I've always loved, as I'm somebody that's heavily online, I've always loved social media, but I've always been a consumer. Always been someone that just watched because obviously based on where we're located, I've always felt like it was just like a pipeline dream. So it was a desire that was just there. I've always, the other day, me and my mom, we had this revelation. She said, Daria, you've always been the girl at church or in the family who was always recording because my auntie found this old Google account with like a lot of videos from us as children and she was uploading it to them. And she said, Daria, you're the camera person and all. I'm like, do this and do that and do that. And I never realized that my daddy got me a camera when I was like 7. In school, I was always the person with the camera. But I never put 2 and 2 together to say that that was always ingrained inside of me. And I've always been a person that builds. So in a nutshell, I'm a person that likes seeing things go from small to big. I enjoy scaling things, whether it's content, whether it's just personal development. I like to see people go from potential to potential. I like to see businesses go from small to, scale to something great. It doesn't have to be millions, but something better than it was. So at core, I would say Daria is just an architect. I'm someone that really enjoys seeing things go from nothing or very little to scaling to something major. And that's in my work, that's in my personal life, that's relationships, everything.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Interestingly enough, I don't know how I came across your page, but it was just there. And immediately it stood out, right? Being in the media space, the content space, you see a lot. But there was just something about how you moved,
Thank you.
right? And it stood out, and I was like, who is this person, right? And then I started following you, and then I saw, and the thing that comes, and I'm going to try articulate it as best as I can, but there is a intentionality behind it, but then there's a swag and effortlessness about how you how you present yourself, right?
Thank you.
And I admire that so much because I think there's so much and so many people trying, right? And I don't knock trying, but I think where it falls down is that they're trying to be something that they're naturally not.
No, yep.
This thing seems like it comes naturally to you. Is that am I correct in my assumption? Talk to me a little bit about that.
A lot of people think that. I would say, I always tell people, because I work with a lot of clients through my agency, it was not, I think it was always there, but I do think that there had to be some life experiences that kind of unlock those parts of me. My mommy says, she says that, she says, leaders are either born, they're created, or they rise during times of adversity. I feel as though during a time, especially during the pandemic, as you, the last person you and Top spoke about that, something kind of unlocked inside of me. I think I hit a point in my life where I had no choice but to dig up the things that the treasure that was inside of me in order to pivot. It's like I had reached this point where I was just completely flatlining, horizontal. There was no vertical. There was nothing happening. I think it was always there, but I also think that a lot of self-doubt, a lot of imposter syndrome, a lot of looking at what's around me and the people that went ahead of me and their limitations made me just kind of drown out those voices or drown out the belief or that ability within inside of myself. So I do think it was always there. It's something that I completely avoided because my sister had a conversation the other day and I told her, well, she told me, you're afraid of who you can be. And I've always been that way. Like I don't like the idea of being a disruptor. Now I do. But before I didn't like causing chaos or disruption, or who I was to, I didn't like causing friction, or who I was being in the forefront, being open to critiques and possibly causing other people to feel small. Because a little flex, I don't try to self-deprecate, is I'm really good at most things I put my hand to. I'm a very smart girl academically. When it comes to a compliment I often get is you're charismatic. And I think that's why I'm able to rub shoulders with a lot of people in high places. I'm a student. So there isn't much that I can do. But I think, like I said, looking around at those that went ahead of me, my parents, family, people, their limitations, putting it on you, it was like, Daria, this is a pipe dream. But I've always been a talker. I've always been somebody that knew how to bring out the best in others. And I've always been somebody that can look at a problem and be like, if you just do this or that, it would be better. So it's always been there. I just think there are pivotal times in our life that would unlock those doors that we didn't even know was beneath the surface.
All right, so you just said a whole lot, right? But what I'm interested in is because you said, okay, well, this thing, right? This greatness, this desire, this thing was always inside of me, right? I'm very interested, Daria, in because if it's almost instinctual, right? And for us to not walk in our purpose, for us to not be in alignment with what we're put here to be, it's going against ourselves, right? So where I'm getting at is, what were the conversations, the internal talk that was going on when this thing inside of you tried to get up or was stirring? What did you say to yourself that kept it buried for so long? Like, what was that internal conversation?
In a nutshell, what most people feel is it's just not possible for me. I can't do it. Disqualifying myself before I even had a chance. I disqualified myself because looking at society now, I told myself, well, I'm not funny enough. I'm very weird. Like I tell people all the time, I am not your average. A lot of people look at me and they would think a specific personality lives inside, but it doesn't. I was a caricature. It's just something different. But it's mainly, I tell people all the time, most things that you feel is not unique. So me sitting here and trying to create something deep and be like, it's not. Most people feel the exact same things I feel, which is you can't do it. Nobody wants to listen to you. You don't have the resources. Your background is ugly. Your house, you're poor. You don't have this. You're fat. You're not as pretty. You don't meet the societal standards. No, you just don't have what it takes to be somebody in the limelight that people are is worth watching. You're not magnetizing. So it's the same voices that most people hear. It's no respect of person. It's just I think I internalize it in a different way. I internalize it to the point where I crippled myself for years. I pursued everything but the things that I know I should have done. I tell people when I started TikTok, I had hundreds of drafts. I would be everything I do, hey guys, and what to do this, that would live in my draft for months. Nothing beyond just self doubt. And that's what hold a lot of people back. When I speak to people every day, they tell me, Dari, how do you, or I want to so bad. Do you want to? But it's self doubt is crippling. Like now, I've always been a person when mommy say I'm very stubborn. As long as Daria believe it, that's what it is. So it wasn't a matter of me being afraid of people. It was a matter of me actually just trusting and believing myself. So when I got to that point where I was like, because I could tell you when it was, I was in a hospital. Well, I went to a checkup because I had COVID and I was broke. I was in the hospital, in and out of the hospital because I used to get really sick. I didn't have a job. I had just graduated and I'm like, Daria, the people that you're afraid of, none of them even bringing you a Gatorade.
Wow.
Not even a little vapor rub. Not even a little Vicks, to put. You're afraid of people that do not directly impact your life. And that was such an eye-opening moment because I'm like, you know what? I was afraid that I wouldn't be good enough because I wanted to do makeup and skincare. I'm like, I'm not educated enough. I'm a researcher. I'm a student. So I went and started learning. And I just sat and I told myself, this is the worst you'll ever be, Dario. This is the worst you'll ever be. And then you'll get over it. And then I am very inspired by other people's stories. So when I just recently learned that, well, not recently, but Shonda Rhimes really got into what she was doing at like in her 30s. Vera Wang, who everyone wants to wear one of her dresses, designed her first dress at 40. I'm like, all of these people who, they are Colonel Sanders, KFC, 50s or 60s. Why are you stressing yourself out to be perfect at this point? All of them have come up stories. When you look at Microsoft, Facebook, Amazon, all of these powerhouses in the world, their story started where they literally had nothing as well. But they told themselves, this is where I'm going to be for now. But they looked at their lives in probably decades, not just the next 3 months. In 10 years, I'm going to be something big. And that's how I spoke to myself. I'm like, and this is looking at now 4 years later, I have the honor of sitting on the Real EQ podcast, the honor, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I couldn't see myself because one, I didn't like talking to the camera. I didn't like speaking in major crowds, but it was just me telling myself, like I said, things unlock. That adversity of COVID, because I don't come from a lot, honestly. Like people would look at me and think, they'd be like, I'm wholesome. Yeah, my parents are wholesome, but wholesomeness, they don't pay the bills. I came from very humble beginnings, and that just made it feel like a lot of limitations surrounded me. But when I saw the avenue to get into something, I had the resources, even though it wasn't much. I did it, and I had to speak to that voice consistently. Doubt is a normal emotion, but you have to kind of interrogate those thoughts. Where is this coming from? And that Top spoke about having to deal with internal healing and stuff like that. I experienced a lot of trauma growing up, but it did two things. At first, it hindered me, but then it propelled me to say, I don't want to become a statistic to my trauma. So it was just healing my perception of self and knowing that I am good enough now. That voice that says you can't do it or the work doesn't mean anything, I had to silence that. And when I say silence it, don't mean I had authority over it completely, but telling yourself every day, I'm going to still show up regardless. We can't operate on feelings. I'm not a person, I'm emotional, but that's very much put to the back burner when it comes to my work. I will show up. I am tired. I'm running on fumes right now, but I will show up because I made a commitment. And it's through consistency that we break through things. It's through consistency that we get where we need to go. It's not through intensity, short form intensity. It's through consistency in what you say you're going to do. So I showed up every day, did what I had to do, and now I'm on the Real EQ podcast.
I love it. And we are happy to have you. But, all right, so, because there are a couple of things, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I hear one of the things that you said earlier in the conversation was that, people project their limitations on you, mm-hmm. right? And also, I find it so very interesting that the self-doubt, and this is my own journey, but the self-doubt that I used to have was really, it's really taught, yeah. right? And because when you're a kid running around, there is no such thing as doubt. You think you can do anything.
Achieve the world.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that's one thing. The next thing is that you said something that was key, and that, the people that you are afraid of, whose opinions you're afraid of,
Yep.
they aren't even there at your lowest point, right? And for me, I say, if you don't contribute to my daily, I ain't really interested in what you got to say. But what was, because and then the next thing you indicated was that you didn't really have authority over it completely, right? Do you still have moments of self-doubt? Do you still have moments of, am I good enough? Can I really accomplish? Like, and if you do, how do you, or what do you say to yourself? What is now the internal conversation to get you to show up consistently, regardless of how you feel in the moment?
Well, for one, I think as people, we are self doubt is not as bad. I don't say it's not as bad. Self doubt can be used in two ways. It can fuel two ways. It can fuel you to run away or can fuel you to run toward. Something that my mommy tell me is if you're not dreaming, if your dream doesn't scare you or create some conversation in your head of, is this the right step? Could I do this? It's not big enough. So for me, when I find, especially as a believer, confidence does come from God. But when I find myself in spaces of, boy, can I really do this? Is it possible? It makes me to know that I'm dreaming at the right size. I'm really dreaming at the right magnitude. But like I said, authority is something that you have to take into control. It's not something that's just granted to you. You're not elected in your personal life as the authority. You choose, I am the authority, and I will still step out and do these things. So it's more so of a choice because that voice is very, very loud. I think everyone experiences that. I don't think it's possible to live this human experience with the idea of self-development and not experience doubt. Because every time you're going to another level, there's discomfort. It's impossible to take the comfort or the confidence from one level and think it applies to the next. Confidence is built. It's not just handed because, okay, you're now in grade 6 or you're now in grade 7. No, you get into the class, you experience the pressures of the class, and then you adapt or you not conform, but you evolve to that pressure. So doubt is something that everyone experiences. I do experience it. I just got an opportunity about 2 weeks ago. I need to respond, but I felt doubt in that moment. I was like, wow, like, are you in the big leagues or playing with the big, globally, you're in the big leagues. And I'm like, okay, I will now rise to the occasion. I set a game plan and I rise to the occasion. You will always have doubt. People that don't have doubt are not evolving because you're sitting in comfort. You have to have some level of discomfort because that's what doubt is. It's just unfamiliarity. You're in unfamiliar territory and you're like, do I belong? But as you start to venture and you explore that territory, it becomes, I can learn this. I can change. I can see myself here. It's just being in unfamiliar territory. And I am there constantly because I am constantly on the rise. So for me, doubt is there, but she's a passenger. She's a backseat driver. She will not stare where I'm going. And I just, like I said, affirming yourself is important. But as a believer, I do believe that my confidence comes from God as well. When I speak to him, I tell him I enter rooms or I enter agreements or contracts with the mindset that this is a part of my purpose, meaning that I am in a flow where I can't be denied. I can't fail because I am placed here to do this. And that's also a reminder for me.
All right. So because I hear the word doubt, and I'm a firm believer in defining just to make sure that we talking about the same thing. So when you say like doubt is a passenger or doubt will always be there, what are you referring to? What is doubt? How do you define doubt?
I believe that doubt is just the belief that you're incapable or incompetent to perform a specific task in an efficient or an effective way.
Okay.
So what is doubt to you?
That is doubt to me, right? But when I hear you talk about it, I don't define the thing that you're talking about as doubt,
Okay.
right?
What would you define it as?
Well, so for me, I believe that very much like you, that, you should have a goal that is so big that honestly the person that you are today cannot accomplish it. And you have to grow into the person that can, right? I do believe that if it doesn't challenge you, like the best definition of a good goal, quote unquote, is one that scares you a little but excites you a lot.
Yes.
Right?
I like that.
And so, I hear doubt and I think, okay, well, just as you define it, right? I don't believe that there's nothing I can't accomplish given a long enough time horizon. right? Like I really believe that, right? I also do believe that there are times, and so I never really doubt
You don't
my.
doubt. Okay.
I don't doubt. So, and that's why I say like,
What
as
is
you
doubt?
defined it,
Yeah.
I don't doubt myself, and honestly, I feel that as you defined it, the thing that you described, I don't think is doubt,
Okay.
right? I think it's self awareness. I think
Okay.
it's questioning, and not even questioning if I can, right? Questioning if I will.
That's good.
You see, and so that's why, like, because even as you were saying that, I was like, but I don't.
So,
I look at you and I don't see doubt.
so you think it's self awareness as far as this is something new. I'm aware that I probably don't have the skill set as yet, but I'm willing to rise to the occasion.
Right.
That's good.
And to me, that's not doubt, right?
Okay.
And but to an earlier point, there were times that I didn't think that I was good enough.
Yeah.
I didn't feel as though I could. I did dismiss it. I did question,
Yeah.
why me, and now it's like, okay, well, let's ride,
Why not me?
because I do believe that you get to a certain point where you, through self awareness, you know yourself, and you are able to, like. So I'll share. My wife and I, we have this. There's this exercise that I did where we our unique blueprint for success, right? Because I do believe that the principles of success are universal, and if you're successful in one area of your life, you can literally map that, blueprint that, and apply that to be successful in other area of your life. Nobody in life sucks at everything,
Yeah.
right? There's something that you are successful at. And I believe that if you were to dissect your previous successes, you can come up with that blueprint
Yeah.
that you can now systematically deploy in other areas of your life so you could achieve success, right? And so I believe that. And so now it isn't a if I can, it's how can I? And that reframing changes everything
It
for me.
does.
And I think when I hear you speak, it's acknowledgement of I cannot in this moment at this time do this thing, but it's I will figure it out.
Yeah.
And so when you talk, that's what I hear.
Honestly, that's how I. That's just how I operate. I think hearing people. I would say probably internalized. Because when you break it down like that, that makes a lot of sense. I think I've internalized what making me question or just having that conversation. I probably added it or see it as doubt. But I like that you corrected me and said that that's actually not doubt. That's just self awareness. But I do feel as though some people would still even hear what I said and appreciate that because some people don't have that self awareness where they're like, I can just rise to the occasion. Some people are actually crippled
Yeah.
with doubt. I know that was a point in my life earlier on, but you see confidence now. You see a girl making moves now. But before, that was not me. So I know what it is to doubt, but I like that you made that separation as, hey, that's not doubt anymore. This is now just maturity. This is self awareness. So that was good.
Yeah.
That was
No, I mean, 'cause
clock my tea.
I-
Clock my tea. It's
I'm
good.
hearing, but and I agree. There are people who doubt, right? But I don't. I like I said, I don't think you're one of them. And so when you let's talk through that process then from your vantage point. When you have this idea now because you've evolved beyond the limiting beliefs that you can't, right? And to how can I? But how then do you go from that intangible thought area to now actually taking action, even in the I don't know how, but I'll figure it out. Like, how do you now mobilize to actually start taking action towards this thing that you can in this moment accomplish,
Yeah.
and still move confidently towards that thing?
So for me, for one, something I love to encourage people to get into is learning from others that have already walked the journey. I am somebody that will sit at the feet of anybody. I am a learner. I am a student by nature. So if I know that I am already in a position where I have this goal or this idea that's bigger than me, most of my ideas are, I made a post about it on Facebook saying, I feel like God has been giving me ideas where I can't achieve it on my own, which forces me out of my comfort zone to step into doing risks, taking risks, basically. For one, there are always people that have walked the journey that you are intending to walk. I get in those DMs. I go to their events. I surround myself with people that have already, essentially, like I said, walked it. And I try to soak up. I ask questions. I become a student. That's one. Two, even though I may not know how to fully give something legs, I still take steps towards that, whether that's planning it out, writing it. The Bible says, write it out and make it plain. That's the first thing I do. It will have a plan. It will have a blueprint. I will write it out and make it plain. I will pray over that. But more importantly, that I will actively start doing that, because faith that works is dead. I will actively start reaching out to people. Tap spoke about collaboration in our podcast, and that's something that I am true to. Collaborating, whether that's with ideas or collaborating with resources. But I am fully believe that when you start, because I tell people, life is a current. And if this is something that you are meant to do, we don't control currents. Currents are set for us. If this is something that you are meant to do and you are in that current of I am making progress towards it, everything will flow to you. But you have to be in alignment with that current. You have to put yourself in that position for things to flow. A lot of us try to do things on our own strength. I am not a videographer. I'm not a cinematographer. I don't got a studio. And if I have this big grand idea, for example, I am going to start putting myself in rooms, conversation, relationships. We don't like to talk. Naturally, a lot of people like to try and do things on their own. I am a woman of collaboration. I am a woman that believes in reaching out to people that have walked the walk. But that still first start with taking those steps or even believing that I can do it. As simple as writing ideas down, people can't do. People can't make a business plan. People can't say, this is what I'm setting up and this is what I want to do. But it only is as real as you make it. For me, when I put something on paper and I start to talk about it, for some reason, things just start to work. I have never been a person that liked to ask for help. I didn't like it. Very prideful girl and didn't have nothing, which is crazy. That's a strong combination. That's lethal. You broke, you got nothing, and you don't want to ask. That's crazy. Close mouth. That's crazy, but that was me. So it's still a matter of, like I said, there will always be things that we can't achieve, but there's somebody walking on this earth that has walked that and achieved that. Even like I look at your agency, I look at different agencies around NASA, and I admire, but I also look at your work ethic. I look at the last Mug and Mike that you did. So much gems were dropped. I wasn't just there to support, I was there to learn, because there are things that you have. There are things that you have that I need. So if there's a goal that I have that I can't do, I'm going to people. The first thing to do is to go to people that have achieved that goal. A lot of people don't like to learn. They go to school, they leave school, and that's all the learning they want to do.
Yeah.
I am a student. I will sit and I will learn, but I will also make headway. Control, something I tell people is control the controllables. I control what I control. If that's writing the goal down, if that's sending sponsorship letters, if that's showing up to events, if that's applying for the job, applying for the grant, the loan, whatever it is, I take the steps that are in my hands and I leave the rest to God and the people and the relationships that I've made around me to really give it legs. So touch people in the industry that I have, control the things that you could control. A lot of us want ideas, but there are things as simple as applying for the business license, applying for the grant. There are things we can do. You say you need money for funding, you want it follow the sky, but the SBDC have a grant. So the things that I can do, Darea does. I'm building my agency right now, and it's a lot of things that I want to do, and I don't have the resources as yet, but there are micro goals that I can achieve on my own, that will help to build what it is that I want to, I may not be able to put the whole foundation out today. I could lay like 6 blocks. I could write the plan. So it's just a matter of taking those things that you can control and doing it well. And that's what I try to do. And I think people around me see me doing the things I can well, and they're like, you know what? I want to invest in that. I want to help you with that. Here's how you could do this better. But people prefer things that are in motion than things that are standing still with big dreams. I prefer a sloppy spring into action than some delayed sense of gratification.
Ooh, wow. Wow, a sloppy spring
That's
into
me.
action.
Build a
I
plane
got
as you go.
goosebumps just now.
Build it as you go.
That's dope. That's dope. So, and wow. So like I and my team could attest to like literally everything you just shared. just taking the steps, not necessarily knowing how, utilizing the resources that you have easy and
yes.
ready access to. All of that stuff I share with my team, right? And so like right now you speak into the to the what they say, you speak into the choir, you preach into the choir. That's what they say. I am, because you said something, right? And I wouldn't say I have a, I try and see how I could articulate this without getting myself in trouble, right? You said that you're a believer,
I am.
right? And for me, I wonder, because you also said faith without works is dead,
Yes.
right? I hear more often than not from believers this, yes, I understand the surrender, but if it doesn't fall in my lap,
Oh no.
then it's not God's will.
Then that's not Bible. That's not God's will. There is always an active participation on our part when it comes to pursuing the things that He has us here to do. Regardless if we are anointed for it, we're graced for it, it's on the holy book for us in heaven that you're supposed to be this. There's always a active participation on our part. It's a collaboration with God. He's not just like your baby daddy or your government system who could just give you anything. He's somebody that wants to partner with you. I tell people, House of Content, I am a co-founder. Yahweh is my CEO, but I am still working. There's a scripture that where Yahweh told Joshua, I will give you every land you step foot on, I will give to you. It still start with him stepping on the land. He didn't just say you could have everything. Step foot on the land. It is obedience that unlocks doors, but it still requires us to get to those doors. So I agree. There are a lot of people with a delusion where they think that faith is a rest. It is a posture of rest. Faith is an action word. It is a posture of action. So, and it gives us the blueprint. Write it down and make it plain. Write it down and make it plain for one, but touch the people that you need to. Present your works to Him. He speaks about treating people well, paying people well, being a student, knowing when to be humble. These are attributes that He's giving us that when we get into certain rooms, we are able to stay there, not just because we belong, because we think God destined this, but because there's active work in our character that we need to do to stay in these rooms. Yeah, God is going to open the door, but it's your character and the fruits of the Spirit and the things that He tell you to do that will keep you there, because we can forfeit blessings because of our laziness. We can. It's like, how long will you sleep, you slacker? That's what the Bible, you slacker. How long will you be in bed turning over like a doorknob? Like, how long? So I agree. I don't think you'll get in trouble for that. I will tell any believer to their face, a lot of Christians are lazy, especially when it comes to business, when there's so much gold. Even Solomon, I love his business model. Do you know that Solomon wrote 3,000 Proverbs? Over 120 songs. That man was a content creator, and that's why he was wise. That's why he was rich, because he had so much wisdom and he put out so much information that people had no choice but to come seeking out his ministry, his business. That's why he was rich. He had kings and queens coming to him for his information. Some of us don't even post 2 videos in a week, but we want everything. So that's why I said faith is an action word. Yahweh could give you all of the ideas, but if you don't start to employ those with the controllables that you have, He's aware that we're limited. There's only so much strength we have. It's finite. You're not going to get anything. I don't care how much you cry, pray, fast, read the Bible. You still have an active position that you play on the field of life when it comes to getting the things that you need. You won't get in trouble for me. Like, we share the same beliefs.
All right. I just want to make sure, because I talk to people and I say some stuff and then
I think you challenge people's belief.
yeah.
Which is
No, it's interesting. Now, I'm a firm believer. Like I believe in doing the work.
Yes.
Like I believe in creating my own luck. I believe in the more, and so you may be able to appreciate this. I tell people that I count my days by the seeds that I sow, not the harvest that I reap.
That's good.
And mind you, I grew up in the church. I was a church called Prophecy Boy, right? My mommy always telling me I got to get back to church. But I do believe that, like I said, the principles of success are universal, right?
Yeah.
And, I didn't know that about Solomon. I never had that perspective.
Yeah.
I just know Solomon
He was a
rich
businessman.
man
He was
and
a
a wise
businessman.
man. He had all the wives and things like that. Solomon was a pimp. But now I have that And I've never heard that. But it does make so much sense, right? And so, but for people, in doing all of this stuff and putting yourself out there and getting, filling out these applications and all
Yeah.
this stuff, I'm sure you talk to any successful person, no
For sure.
is a word that you have to get kind of used to hearing, right? Rejection is something
Yes.
that you have to get accustomed to, right? Mark Cuban says that you only need to be right once. You only need that one yes, right? How, in the process of putting in all of these inputs and doing all of this work, how do you navigate the no's, and how do you still get up and be consistent despite the rejections that I'm sure
Yeah.
you would have
Experience.
gotten? Because I mean, you ain't batting 10 for 10, obviously, right? Nobody that's successful is. But how do you continue despite the no's, despite the rejection?
Well, one thing I like to do is tell people who I was before I was who I am now. I did not handle rejection well initially. This is before I became somebody in business and somebody that decided, like you said, creating that world. I decided that I wanted to be somebody that wanted to get into business. I understood that concept, but before I just wanted to tap into that, I was not a person that handled rejection well. I didn't take it well. It was like, well, that's that. I
They say
never
no.
needed y'all. I needed well. I didn't handle it well. So that's for people out there that know that rejection probably is hard for them. It's normal in the beginning to take it personal. I would say, especially when you feel as though you have this great product. Because I had great ideas, and brands would be like, no, it's normal to feel that, but it's not normal to hold on to that and to allow that to cripple you. So for me now, I read a quote, and I think this will put this in perspective, is if you knew that you were 100 no's away from the yes that would change your life, how fast would you want people to tell you no?
Yeah.
Like that quote, that stopped me in my tracks. I'm like, that's true, because we would be digging and digging and digging, and we would give up because we don't see the fruits. But sometimes I think we're looking for several yeses. I mean, we're taking personal the no's that we get when we just, like you said, we just need that one yes to change our life. And I think for me, I'm just really quickly trying to find that one yes. I've experienced people, one yes or one phone number or one call, and it's like it completely changed my life. So my thing now is, you said no, okay, I hope you end up on the right side of history. You said no, okay, I hope you end up. But for me, it's just, how quickly would you want to get through the rejections to get to that no, that one no? I'm human. I will, some days, I don't care how strong anybody is, some days you will be like, man, that wasn't cool. But I think that I've just structured my life in a way that I'm not looking at now. I'm so focused on the future. Like, I think about my children. I'm so future minded that I don't think that no will be forever. I told someone about two weeks ago that no is not like a permanent. It's not a full stop. It's just like a redirection. So for me, I truly feel like I'm really aligned in who I'm supposed to be. And I feel like the more I quickly get these no's out the way, I soar into my yes. And that's how I see it. I don't really take it up personal anymore as I did in the beginning, but it's like, you'll always have that feeling. It's just navigating to where it's just navigating in a way that tells you, this is not my forever. And as long as you're preparing, because for me, I always knew that I had like a great personality for camera. I always knew that I could speak well, but when preparation meets opportunity, and I tell people, there is always an opportunity that will come in your life that's life-changing. It will either be a grand reveal to people that didn't know you was putting in the work, or an expose. I am waiting on my grand reveal, that opportune time. Preparation, opportunity is bound to find everybody. Everybody. I don't care how much no's you get, there will be one person. It's just a matter of being ready. So my whole idea is, I just have to be ready for when that comes. No's. I just have to be ready for that one. Yes, like you said, it's just one. That's all I need, just one. But my biggest thing isn't even just how much no's I get. It's more so, am I ready for when that yes comes? I spoke to my best friend, like 2 nights ago, a project I wanted to do last year. The brand pulled out last minute, and looking at myself this year and the projects that I'm overseeing, I told my friend, I wasn't ready for that. I was not ready for that. Yes, I was not. If I'd have get that, I would have freaked that up. I would have freaked that up. I wouldn't have been ready. I would have crashed. I wouldn't have been able to find the resources, the people. I probably would have had just meltdowns after meltdowns, and then that would have crumbled me. That would have injured me more than I wanted to. But now this year, I reached out to the brand again. They were like, yes. And I do feel as though certain things align when the world knows, Yahweh knows, God knows, whoever you believe in, they know when you're ready. I was not ready for that. Yes, we want premature yeses, but we're not to that level as yet. So I look at no's as redirection. I look at no's as protection as well. Sometimes I look at no as love. I've had to tell people, me, you ain't ready for this. It's love, it's protection, it's redirection. Because as long as you are, I would say, preparing as you should, you know that it's not a matter of if, but just when. Because you've built the rapport. It's a sound on TikTok would say, I always had a plan. I just needed a platform. I just need a platform, but the platform will find its way. But it's just not a matter of, I just need a plan to be solid. So that no, sometimes no's are protections. I feel as though I would have bombed that. And it takes you growing to see why you needed those no's. Because a premature yes is just as destructive. It's just as destructive.
I'm taking that in, right? Because there's so much that I want to say because and it's not, and I don't even think it's a agree versus a disagree, right? What the question that comes to mind, Daria, is what are you doing when you get this no, right? And when I say what are you doing, I agree. There were some times that I got no, but my thing is that like I am always improving the offer, for lack of a better term. I'm always improving myself. I'm getting better, and my thing is, and I don't call it delusion or whatever. Like I have that I can figure it out. It's so. And I get that from, I remember Richard Branson said, oh, say yes to everything, right? Say yes to everything because, and then you figure it out. Like I have actually done it. I have said yes, knowing full well that this is outside of my capacity. But I can figure that out. That's a good problem to have, right?
That's true.
But I think it's important, and what I'm inspired to share now is that in hearing no, right? I think some people take the same thing to the next conversation, right? So even though, and when I say the same thing, I'm not even just talking about a product. I'm not talking about, I mean, they take the same mentality, take the same, and it's like, you hear no, but there isn't, what are we doing better?
Yeah.
What are we doing differently this time around, right? And I think that's the part of moving through the nose that a lot of people miss, because at the end of the day, it isn't so much that, oh, they don't get me, they don't understand me, they can't see the vision. Is that you have to be better, right? So yeah, there's going to be 100 no's, but and I equate it to like putting in the reps, right? Like in the gym. I know you was being in the gym. So in the gym, when you may get under that squat rack, and the only way for you to get strong is through repetition.
Yes.
Right? And so something about consistently showing up and putting in the reps is going to change you.
Yeah.
I think what happens in a lot of cases, people hear the no, but they go unchanged.
That's good.
Right?
Yeah.
And because they go unchanged, they continue to not hit the target. They continue to not grow. They continue to get no after no after no after no. And so for me, it's like, yes, you get the no's, but how are you using that to change you? If you're just getting reps and your muscle isn't growing, you aren't getting stronger, you aren't getting faster, and you're putting in the reps, that is a problem.
I agree.
Because that means that you're not making progress. And so if the 100 no's is 100 reps, how are you getting stronger? Something about you now, what you're doing may not be changing. You're still lifting weight, right? Maybe you're lifting more weight. Maybe you're lifting longer weight. Like some change is happening through repetition.
Yeah.
And so I think that's important to note that.
I have a question.
Mhm.
What about a person that has a product, right, or a service, and it's not a matter of I think I was structured like this. Do you think that everything or every goal or dream has to be amended in a way, modified to improve the offer? You think that okay, so I just want to get that, like, because I've seen or heard so much stories about people with great products, Netflix, Stranger Things, one of my favorite series. They were pitching that for almost 15 years, never changed the idea. But to me, I guess timing is also matters. So is it? I wonder. There's nuance to that. There's
Right,
nuance.
no, but here's the thing, right? So the thing didn't change.
The
But
offer.
something changed. The offer didn't change. But the product didn't change. The offer didn't change. It's still the same. But something did, which is why they ultimately got a yes, right? And when I say that there's no change, and I think that's where people go wrong, is the approach. It's how you
pitch
sell
it,
it, how you
yes.
pitch it,
Okay.
who you pitch it to.
Yeah.
Those are changes that are being made, even if the thing doesn't change. But it's very similar to, and I'm sure everybody in their life got that one person that they know who dating the same person, just with a different face, and then they
Yes.
wonder
Why is
why is this
same
always
results?
happening to
Yep.
me,
Yeah. No, that's good.
right? You know, me and my wife had a conversation the other day about the fact that there are some people who are experiencing the same things over and over and over and
Yeah.
over again, will not change anything, and then expect different results.
Only fool does the same thing over
Right.
and over.
That's
Yep.
that's the Chinese definition of insanity, right?
Yep.
Doing the same thing, expecting different results. In every other area of your life, if you want different, you got to do different,
Yes.
right? Now, something has to change. Something. Remember, going in the gym, you still lifting weight.
Yeah. But maybe
That is
diet-
not changed. But
yeah.
how you lifted, what you lifting,
Yeah.
which exercise you is all body pushing weight.
Yeah.
But something about that has to change, right? And I think that's important, because if you do the same exact thing with no change, you can get the same exact result.
Yeah.
But in order for you to get that, yes, something had to change, even if the thing that changed was the person that you asked.
Yes. Yeah.
But you have to keep showing up and ask, because if you asking the same person and presenting the same thing, they can get the same result.
Answer. Yep.
So, but I think
Well, that's good.
I think this is one of those times where, because like I said, I don't know you from Adam, right? I just saw you, but that speaks to, I know, I think the young people would say aura. That's the aura.
Yes.
Like like I said,
Young
when I started,
people.
like I looked at you and I was like, okay. And so I knew that you were somebody that I wanted to have a conversation with. And honestly, that's why I said, because even when I told her, she's like, well, I don't know her, but I think I need to have a conversation with her, right? Darea, there's somebody who may be watching this now, right? And they're stuck for some reason, right? Whether that's self-doubt, whether that's the paralyzing fear of failure, whether that's being held hostage by the opinions of those people who don't really matter.
That's a serious one.
That's a big one. What is your advice? That's the big one. Those people who are held hostage by the opinions of people who don't matter on their daily, who let that fear of what other people think and other people's opinions stop them from really stepping into their greatness? What do you got to say to them? What words can you share with them? Because I think that's the people who need to hear
Yeah.
this.
That's something people talk to me about often because I think I share that often on my platform. I speak about, yeah, I was a people pleaser in a lot of ways, so I just didn't feel as though I had what I had to please. But my advice would be, I think something that sticks with me is the only thing more fearful than the perception of others is regret for the life that you could have had you not even necessarily care, but had you not internalized it so much. I think my biggest fear is regret for not living a life that I would have been fulfilled and proud of, all because of people who are also probably living the life that they are proud of because they didn't internalize what I felt as much as I did to them. So, as I said earlier on, even if you're not perfect, as nobody is, you're still worth seeing now. You're still worth hearing now. You're still worth doing now. Of course, with not perfection, but evolving into what it is that you want to do. But it's easier said than done. So I don't want to make anyone feel like, oh, you could just turn off how you feel or disable that feeling of caring. You have to turn that voice, turn that the introspect. That's the word. Do an introspection and think, what is it that is causing me to internalize? Is it because I need healing as far as how I feel about myself? Because a lot of people, the reason why they take on people's words so much is because they don't think much of themselves. The cup is also empty. Fill your cup with the belief that you can do it. And I tell people all the time, I was the most least likely person in school. When people see me today from school, from CV, from SC, they're like, Daria, I never would have thought. I was quiet. I was out the way, and I was insecure. But those things, like I said, they will always exist, but they don't have to steer your life. Most importantly, I decided, because you can say preach God and you can preach affirm and you preach all these things, and I believe in these things. I'm, like I said, but it's not until you really decide that I want better, and I don't want to be 80 or 90 on my deathbed saying, boy, if I had only, if I had decided to do this. So my biggest thing is, don't think for the now, think for who you will be. I want to thank myself when I'm 30 or 40 for making the decisions that I did despite the people that were around me, despite what people were saying about me. I want to be able to look back and say, I am so grateful that I did not allow the thoughts and opinions of others to hinder me from doing what it is, because now I'm happy, I'm fulfilled. And something, honestly, just to sway a little bit, a lot of people that y'all scared of, they want to do the same thing. Like, that's just to keep it a buck. They want to do the same thing. As a creator, I find that, like, I speak from the content creator standpoint, a lot of people used to laugh at me in the beginning. A lot of people who had said things to say ended up in my chat asking me, how did I do it? And this isn't, I know a lot of people that say this, but no, I've lived this. But people end up in my chat, Daria, could you just tell me how do you get working with brands? Daria, how did you get out of the Bahamas? How do you get global? How do you do this? And then you see them, link in bio, or hey guys, the same people that had so much to say, they are also navigating their own insecurities, and they are only projecting their limiting beliefs onto you. And that's why I say it's a choice to say, you may not truly believe that you can do it, but it's something still about taking that step forward. It's something still about fighting against that feeling, because feelings are fleeting. Today, I feel like I'm on top of the world. Tomorrow, I could feel like nothing. It doesn't matter. Stick to the plan. Know your why and stick to that. Have a tunnel vision to that why. And for me, I want to be rich. It's not even famous. I want to be comfortable. I want to be rich. I want to help those around me. I want to build something that I'm proud of. I want to build my media agency. Those are my why. And that is to the end of a tunnel, and I'm just walking. I don't look left. I don't compare myself to people. No, I know, seriously, social media would have you doing it. I don't compare myself to people. I don't look at people. I look at my goals. There have been people that I have helped that, because I tell you, I like to see things go from big to small, that have passed me, that are doing better than me. There have been clients that I've assisted that are growing, that are doing well. I don't look left. I don't look right. I look at the longevity. I focus on longevity. I look at my goals. Nothing is an instant. Nothing that lasts comes overnight. Things that last are built over time, not overnight, over time. So that's what I would give them. As someone that was held hostage for a long time by people pleasing, my biggest fear is not people no more. It's regret. Regret and disappointment in myself. I don't want to be disappointed with myself. To say, if you could have had so much more. I look at people who are old. Y'all ever them uncles, and they talk about their glory days in their 20s, and they're like 60. And they can't get out that time period. I don't ever want to be an old woman talking about, You know how one time in life I was excited and vibrant, and now I just fail. I don't want to live a life of regret more than I don't want to live a life of people not liking me. I don't care who don't like me. I don't. Don't validate me on social media. I'm validated with God and my bank account. That is my favorite. Validate with
You
God and my bank
put that
account.
on a shape, man.
Validate me with my bank account. That's my favorite sort of validation currency. And from my heavenly Father, that is it. But once you get into that mindset, everything flows, honestly. Everything. I do not like public speaking. I don't just do things because I like them. I don't like a lot of things that I have to do, but if it's going to get me to the goal, there are some. I don't like working out all the time. I don't like feeling my muscles tearing, but I like how I look when I feel like I feel thick, when the waist feel like she's sunken in. So don't focus on the now. Focus on the results of what it would be. And for me, I've seen growth in my agency. I've seen growth with my clientele. I've seen growth with the way I create. I've seen growth with the connections I've made, the relationships I've made, all because I decided that, hey, yeah, I might feel these feelings or I might feel hostage, but most times it is a cell that locks from the inside. You can decide to unlock it and walk out and just keep walking.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Daria, where can people find you, man? If they want to follow your journey, if they want to reach out, to get some inspiration, some information, or some tea. Where
You want this word.
tea? I think that's a cool
Tea.
word.
Clock that tea. Clock that tea. You can find me on all platforms, Darea Danielle, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, everywhere, YouTube, same name, Darea Danielle, same message all the time.
I love that. That's the consistency, guys. Guys, I told you every episode we bring quality people, man. Real conversations with real people that I actually genuinely admire and want to learn from. Some key takeaways from this conversation with Daria is write it down. Like you have to write it down. Do not be held hostage by the opinions of others. If they don't add to your daily, if they ain't gonna bring you Vicks when you're down and sick, they don't matter.
Agreed.
Faith without works is dead. Life is a current. You want to be flowing towards. You can't do everything by yourself. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Closed mouths don't get fed. And just know that you are capable. All right. So, as I always say, get uncomfortable and do the work because the world needs your greatness. Peace.